Patti, how did you meet Christoph?
Well, I had an interview with a newspaper. Which newspaper?
Die Zeit.
Yes. And they were surprised to know that I like opera very much. Maybe they thought I was stupid, but they were very surprised and thought it would be very funny to send me to Bayreuth and to see Christoph's Parsifal. Well, all my friends in New York who have been waiting for 3 years to go to Bayreuth were very angry. And so I went, and I went to see Parsifal, and I was in the audience, and some people cheered, and some people booed, and this young man came on the stage, and when people were booing, he smiled at them and extended his hand as if embracing them. And the very people that were booing became quite charmed, and some of them started cheering. And I thought, I would like to meet this fella.
So Christoph, dann, wie hast du dann Patti getroffen? Kam sie auf die Bühne, um dich zu helfen, gegen die Buhrufer, oder was ist passiert? What happened? How did you meet Patti then after the performance?
Yeah.
For one thing, I was, after the play was over, a huge storm happened, remember? Huge. Branches, wind, rocks were flying through the air.
Yeah.
I was by myself, and it was so scary, and a woman said, "Come with me." I run with her, branches of trees, everything. It was like the sky was falling. I followed her, and we ran into a hotel for shelter, just to get away from the storm. And I was sitting there thinking of him, and he walked in. He walked in. I was so happy, and for me it was the anniversary of my father's death, and I always, when an anniversary like this comes, I always want it to be a beautiful day, not sad. And on this particular day, I met a lifelong friend. And it didn't matter that I can't speak German, and maybe he speaks pretty good English, but because the language was in his smile.
The important thing was that you were there, and I don't not really your work all, and I was fascinated. Only the moment was to meet you, and this was great. And this was
also,
all.
I took a picture of a duck. Do you quack, quack, quack?
Yeah, duck.
And he
That's how you talked in Bayreuth, quack, quack, quack.
and you'd like to, but really all I knew about Kristoff was people that know a lot about opera in New York said, "Oh, be careful of him. He's a revolutionary. He is also, he's the Rimbaud of Germany." I went, "Oh, I'll be very careful." But when I saw Parsifal, I thought anyone who would replace a swan with a rabbit has to be a genius or a holy fool. And he was both. I have to say something.
Mm-hmm.
When Christoph was talking, and looking at the picture, I went back. Doing this film and working with Christoph always, you are like the lost boys in Peter Pan. He is Peter Pan, and you are in Neverland. And he doesn't promise it will be good or bad, he just promises it will. And as a lost boy, we had many adventures, all of us. And in the end, even the ship, just like in Neverland, was built. And when I looked at Area 7 and the ship that Kristoff and everyone built, and all the children and the townspeople, everyone gathered in the night, it was truly like being in Neverland. And so I have to say, it doesn't matter what the script is or what the film is. It's just, you have to, as Peter Pan said, believe. And if you believe, it's all wonderful. And Kristoff and I had this magical little connection with the rabbit, starting with Parzival.
Der tote Hase.
And I was having a very difficult time. We had a long, long drive through the desert. And first, a white cobra appeared in the road, a huge white cobra. And I thought, what does this mean? Because I wonder how to interpret things. And then we kept going. And then all of a sudden, Kristoff stopped the car. And he said, I have found it. And I interpreted that to mean that he found why I was there. And we got out of the car, and I followed him down the road in the middle of nowhere, and there in the middle of the road was this poor, sad, dead rabbit. And when I saw this rabbit, I felt that I had come all the way there so that Kristoff could take me to the road and I could pick it up and give it a decent burial and say a little prayer. So, service, a prayer for the rabbit. I know this all sounds crazy.
Sometimes angry, but not ironic.
I'm not an ironic kind of artist or a human being. It's just, not part of me. I don't even have the proper intelligence to be ironic. But my idea of God is simple, and it came from when I was very young. I always liked the idea of this concept of God because it made, for no other reason, that it made everything less ordinary. It made things special. But my idea of God is that people talk about God abandoning us. I believe the danger isn't that God abandons us. We abandon God. And I think that God is as we invest in him, or I call him just for the sake of communication. I think that we all have this opportunity and also this blessing to be magnified, not to simply be ordinary. We are magnified because we are all a bit of God. I think that this concept, if people could grasp this, they would not, for instance, well, you look in our present culture, people seek to magnify themselves by being a celebrity or a mini celebrity. They, on the internet or in a magazine, or they exploit themselves to be a little bit of a celebrity because they imagine it magnifies them. This is very, in the end, not so satisfying. Being magnified by the idea of God means that we are living imagination. And I suppose if I had to define God without irony, I would define him as imagination. And the idea of defining God as imagination does not make it a less serious concept. It has begat art, begets children, and anyway,
Does that mean also that one can deal with God, one can deal with the idea of God or the idea of religion in a humorous way, in a like Kristoff is, I'm not saying that Kristoff is using parody or irony, but he's dealing at least in a kind of almost comical relief.
Well, it's joy. I mean, you don't think Jesus laughed? You know? I mean, it's joy. There's nothing, joy does not have to be cynical or ironic. Doing something that's free. I mean, I don't look at Kristoff's work as being ironic or cynical. It's free. And freedom sometimes can seem irreverent, blasphemic, but it's really not at all. It's like a child. You know, it's free of social concepts of how one should present an idea, such as love or God. I mean, children are told about God, and who knows what, you know, a child could make a dinosaur god, or, you know, it's not blasphemous. You know, a child could look at their rag doll and imagine it as Mary Magdalene, or their scarecrow as Christ. This is not blasphemous. But if an artist does it, it's sinful, or we have, you know, been against Christ. Even people have said to me, oh, you don't believe in Jesus. You said Jesus died for somebody's sins, but not mine. And I've always said, I believe in him so much that he's the first word in my first record. If I'm saying something to him, whether you believe the concept, do you not see that I'm speaking openly to him, acknowledging him as a presence? Anyway, I don't know.
Do you then accept that people might feel provoked by Kristoff's or your ideas, your words, Kristoff's, let's say, theater, and Kristoff's dramaturgy and Kristoff's text, and by your drawings and by your songs? Can you understand that some people might get provoked and get angry at you?
Yes, I understand that, but to me, what we do is out of love. What really, I am provoked when I look in America, especially if you go down south, there's all these TV shows with false prophets, as Jesus predicted, on the television, asking people to send them money, taking money from the poor and old people. And these people are revered. That, to me, is something to be picketing or something to be angry about. This is, you know, it is not done out of love. It's done out of a desire for power, money. But Kristoff does not create his work to get money and power. It's really out of love, you know, and that, you know, great art or great artists have creative impulses. They feel everything at the same time, and the only way that they can give to people this creative impulse to share it with them is to create work. And Kristoff's work is very generous because it's confrontational, but yet it invites you in. Come on in. Come into the ship. You know, come to Area 7. Walk around, you know, be part of it, you know, smell it, ignore it. But it invites you, it draws you in.